I'm stuck between wanting to do something and not wanting to do anything at all, says Lawrence in a role that I believe is her best performance to date. She bears her soul in ways we haven't seen from her yet, as a new mother, embodying a hunger for life and a despair from it. Like Swedish filmmaker Roy Andersson's About Endlessness or David Lowery's Ghost Story, there is such a confidence here in which every frame is held as a painting. It's shot on 35mm Ectochrome. The camera captures the feeling of a restless, sticky, cicada-surrounded summer, and the whole film breathes this sickly warmth like nothing else I've ever seen. The effect is truly haunting. Brendan Fraser's return to Hollywood these last few years has been a breath of fresh air, but fresh air that's been around for a while, so maybe more like a familiar, calming breeze. The point is, he's a legend of kindness, and in this movie, he plays an employee of a Japanese rental family agency in Tokyo. Most of the movie, I believe, was shot in Japan. Hikari, whose work you might have seen in the hit show Beef, did a remarkable job crafting and directing this emotional screenplay. You want to run away with the love of your life, but your parents won't approve. Let Fraser pretend to be the love of your life. Go through a fake wedding, etc., and then you can cut him a check and run away with your real love. You need a son? Check. You need a father? Check. He can be whatever you need him to be. This movie encapsulates the beauty of connection in the midst of a world where we all fear loneliness. Fraser truly sees everyone he comes in contact with in this movie, and it's a story that I hope propels others to see each other better. Oh, and by the way, I haven't seen every movie that's come out in theaters this year, but I have seen 63 of them, just for the record. Rian Johnson gives us his third entry in the Knives Out franchise, a script he admits was the hardest to write, wrestling with different facets of religion and the way we engage with faith in the modern age.
Does any of this exist?
Johnson, a once professing Christian, still advocates for the world that needs the words of Jesus, now more than ever. Where it could have been fodder for low-hanging jokes, the subject of faith is instead tackled here incredibly well. And I do mean tackled. While Johnson is tasteful, he gets down and dirty with the subject, not dancing around it, but diving right in, which helps provide us with the most dynamic protagonist in the series yet, in Josh O'Connor's Judd, and the most fleshed out Blanc, with, of course, a smattering of good-looking actors to match. This was the one that pulled me back into a world I had sort of given up on. I gasped, I laughed, I teared up. The heart here really uncovered what made a lot of people fall in love with the MCU in the first place, which is the heart of the ordinary folks donning the costumes and hitting the pavement with their powers. This is the first time in a while we've seen a group we could get behind for future movies even. And honestly, huge shout out to the superhero flicks this year in general. Superman, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four. This is the most I've enjoyed these movies in years. And we're actually getting a break now after this past summer until next summer. And I think that's a great choice. We'll get Supergirl from DC. We'll get Spider-Man from Marvel. The market for these films feels alive again for the first time in a while. I think there's a couple reasons for that. James Gunn's been making sure the scripts dictate the schedule, meaning that if the screenplay isn't ready, then production holds, which I think is how it should be. And if what he's done with Peacemaker and Superman is any indication, then we're in for a really great run. Feige on the Marvel side's made a real effort to tone back their content saturation, just a few pieces of content a year, and I think we're in for a really healthy competition between DC and Marvel now, and as for the fans, we've benefited this year from all of it, but Thunderbolts was my very favorite this year. I saw it with a big crowd. This is communal watching at its best. Linklater and Hawke's ninth collaboration did not disappoint. Linklater is known to rehearse his movies like a stage play, having actors run through large portions of the script together from memory, living, and breathing in the characters' worlds. This method was particularly evident here in Blue Moon, as Hawke's sweeping monologues span page after page after page. It's a bottle episode, but it's a movie. The whole thing takes place in one building as we watch the music of people bouncing off each other. Caught up in the breath of life is an electric, exciting thing where anything can happen and you feel afloat, and then the next breath, you're fending it off as this weighty, lonely song. Hawke and Linklater's love for the arts and this character required that it simmer for years until Hawke was old enough and Linklater felt it was right and he was ready. Finally, we got Blue Moon, one of Hawke's best performances to date. This leads into halftime, where we will watch some regular dogs catch discs. I mean, they're not regular, they're talented, but we'll also watch some hot dogs race each other. My money's on the relish, and we will relish some of the highlights of the year. So the letdown of the year for me this year is Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey. Colin and Margot could have had this thing. It was a talented team. It's an incredible director, Kokonada, who also directed Columbus, I mean, his shots here are exquisite. I just fear that they're squandered on a story that could have used another few drafts. It's shot very seriously, and it is beautiful to watch in a lot of ways, but it's not big or bold, and honestly, by the end of it, the journey feels a bit redundant. And the reason this is a letdown of the year for me is I think that with a solid rewrite or two, and less on the nose dialogue, it could have been really everything it promised to be. Instead, it was an underwhelming letdown that could have been a knockout for the fantastical and just wasn't. My honorable mention of the year, it didn't make the top 10, but it's an honorable mention, is The Black Bag. It's sleek storytelling that treats you like a capable audience member. Steven Soderbergh directs this cast in this engaging espionage in which a marriage is at the forefront of the question, who can you trust? The tension is all underpinned with Ocean's collaborator David Holmes' steady score. My apology of the year goes out once again to Timothée Chalamet. I'm seeing Marty Supreme with somebody in January, so it's not going to make my list this year. I know the same thing happened last year with A Complete Unknown. These Christmas Day releases just are not quite making the cut. Timmy, I'm sorry. My shot of the year goes out to Dan Lawson in Del Toro's Frankenstein. The shot he did with the wolves and the campsite in the snow with the ice and the moon in the top corner, but the orange and the reds of the setting sun are still peeking around the ice, and the fire with the soul figure walking in the distance, but it's dark enough that the fire really pops. It was just beautiful. Listen, if I had an Airbnb in some wintry mountain somewhere, I would frame that image in the living room. The artistic choice of the year for me goes out to If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. I've never witnessed a movie that relied so spectacularly on sound immersion. From the opening scene when she's talking with the doctor, that decision to just hold on her face and hear the other people in the room but not show them, that decision is carried through to the end as she's overtaken by the waves. That Dolby mix is just incredible. Mary Bronstein was a genius for that. Felipe Misiter just knocked it out of the park as the sound designer and the supervising sound editor. He just really killed it. Genre shout out this year goes to comedies. Shout out to Naked Gun, One of Them Days, Friendship, Anaconda even looks like a ton of fun. It's just been a great year for humor, laugh out loud moments, and it makes me really happy to be laughing in a large audience. And back to the countdown. I just can't get enough of Baumbach's writing. To me, it always says, I'm so glad to be making art and telling great stories. From Fantastic Mr. Fox to Kicking and Screaming, Baumbach just adds these details in there that makes his stories feel all the more human. For instance, there's a scene where Adam Sandler is in the middle of a tennis tournament with his daughter. He's stressed because Greta Gerwig, his wife, Adam Sandler, not Noah Baumbach, although actually she's Noah Baumbach's wife too, is calling him over with a phone call, and the phone call regards his boss and friend, George Clooney, aka Jay Kelly. Something's happened to him. Now, all of this is more than enough material for a scene, but then Baumbach goes and he adds this little moment where Sandler looks down at his kid and says, stop licking the fence. And his kid responds, I like the way it tastes. These are the little cherries that he's putting on these already phenomenal Sunday scenes. And Adam Sandler just rides that line between drama and comedy effortlessly. We are in a great era of Sandler movies. The final scene here really swept me up emotionally in a way I wasn't braced for. There's that wonder of making an impact and connecting with those around you, and that fear that maybe you won't. I think this movie and Whiplash could be a really incredible double feature on that subject of chasing your passion with everything you have and how it can affect those around you. Director Ryan Coogler, actor Michael B. Jordan, and composer Ludwig Göransson collaborate for a fifth time here in this remarkably fresh flick. Jordan plays both brothers in 1932 Mississippi. That kid that played Sammy Moore, Miles, was really good in his debut role. He's got a voice on him too. Like Barbie or Oppenheimer a few years ago, or like Odyssey will probably be next year, this was an event, a flagship for original storytelling with all the flavors you want in a good hearty stew of a movie. I remember after the Coens' True Grit, over 15 years ago now, my dad said, that girl is going places. And 15 years later, Haley Steinfeld is still here showing new facets of her talent, still going places. It's one of the most creative uses of music I've seen in a movie ever, with strums and undercutting sounds accompanying the movie's beats in powerful ways, pulling you in for this wild ride. And even in a world of monsters, this story is contextualized around the characters, anchoring the whole thing in humanity. This one had engaging pacing, performances, and a script that's incredibly layered. It was directed, written, and co-starring the brilliant James Sweeney alongside Dylan O'Brien, who himself has had a great year between this and Oh Hi. And this is a multifaceted journey through loss and the way it changes and connects us. Lauren Graham is always great to see. She plays the mother. If you liked this movie, and you will, please check out Straight Up, another layered drama written, directed, and starring Sweeney. It's just really quality stuff. And this movie should be talked about more. This movie, Twinless, should be talked about more as well. Shout out to Chap for putting me on to this rock star director I had never even heard of. Some of my favorite dialogue I've seen in a movie. DiCaprio's Bob is warm, he's lovable, he's helpless in many ways, but he's so geared to help and be a part of revolution. We watch a revolutionary attempt to assimilate and then suddenly thrown back into the world of danger, this time with his daughter's life at the center of the risk. There's no rush to the story unfolding here, and in what Stephen Fleming compared to the Big Trouble in Little China dynamic, where Kurt Russell is just the sidekick to a wider story, we see DiCaprio here out of his depth in a really endearing way. I've never seen a car chase scene quite like this one. Between this role as Sensei and his role in Anderson's The Phoenician Scheme this year, it's been a heck of a year for Benicio del Toro, who stands out here even among a cast as knockout as this. I mean, Sean Penn's a true villain here, Teyana Taylor is a force of nature, Regina Hall, Chase Infinity, everybody brings it. Paul Anderson can do no wrong. And here, you'll be gobsmacked with an anxiety-inducing score, memorable performances, and what Cameron Hook calls patient filmmaking. This is a tender tale, proper storytelling, an intimate British dramedy taking place entirely on an island. From short film to feature, this story has been crafted and expanded with care by the writers and stars. A disbanded folk duo is brought together to perform for a wealthy fan on a remote Welsh island. A lot of the lines in this movie are pulled directly word for word from the short film it was based on from the same director 18 years ago. The story is just consistently humorous, heartfelt, and human. It's a truly beautiful script with original music to match. It's been an incredible year for original stories, and I'm looking forward to seeing what 2026 has in store for us. Happy New Year, and here's to the movies.